Hello, welcome Exiles. Today let's talk league start plans for 317. Now, I'm not as creatively scientific as other content creators who will go and test out a bunch of different possibilities and narrow down which one's 100% the best in their opinion to league start. I more or less just like to come up with a plan that I think will be fun and then do it. And usually it's good enough to do the early game content, have fun with it, even get into some end game. And often I will pick classes that I know I can transition into something guaranteed strong or good. And that way, you know, I can have a fun league start just doing something completely new. I'm not doing something that I've already done a bunch of times and tested and gotten bored of, but, you know, something new and fresh. So that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking lightning-based Thor style Inquisitor. Now the reasons being for that is Selfcast got a buff. Looking at my favorite part of the Selfcast buff was the Orbistorms changed. I think this will make Orbistorms kind of fun to play with the lightning spellcaster. You put that up next to the boss and then you're shooting the boss with lightning and there's lightning coming from the Orbistorms. I think it'll just be cool thematically, and I think it'll be good DPS wise. So I'm thinking doing Orbistorms with maybe an Arc, potentially a Spark, maybe even a Crackling Lance if I'm feeling something like that. I'm just going to try out a few different things, see what works, but I think the damage will actually end up being fairly good for the Lightning Caster playstyle. We'll see if it actually is. I'm going to, of course, if this is the build I end up going with, I'll do update videos every day of the league as I progress it. But that's what I'm planning. Right now, this character, the way I have it mapped out in my mind, I'm going to be running stuff like Determination, Tempest Shield, close to capped spell block, decent attack block. I'm potentially considering some sort of Aegis Aurora shenanigans or a Recover on block shield even. Stuff like that is stuff I might look at doing. But right now, as is, just all passives on the tree, no cluster jewels to start off with. There's a league starter, planning on just getting rare gear and going with it type of thing. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to run Righteous Fire for the DPS boost. You know, if I'm not going to league start Righteous Fire, I might as well use it for utility, right? That's definitely not the only reason I chose Inquisitor, okay? I can get crit, I get pen. I'm not just choosing Inquisitor so I could shoehorn Righteous Fire in with regen. That's don't worry about it. It's fine. That's just kind of the thing I'm definitely leaning towards doing. Now, of course, in the patch notes and the league announcement, I'm sure we'll get a lot more details on maybe some cool skills they're introducing. I'm hoping there will be some sick lightning spell. I'm guessing they're going to have caster spells, maybe even some bow skills in theme with the bow buffs and the spell self-cast spell buffs, but we'll see. Maybe they won't introduce gems along those lines and there'll be other gems that'll be interesting and might change my plans entirely. But as of right now, this is the sort of thing I'm thinking. Now, the main reason, besides just because I think I haven't really done a lightning spellcaster, is also the transition of, hey, you play a league starter, you get through and you do a lot of good content, but then oftentimes you want to do some sort of high-end build later on, and if it's a different ascendancy, then you have to re-level that character. And I'm thinking right now, I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have to play in this league, depending on when our house sells, we're thinking about potentially building. I'm thinking about building anyways. And so if that happens this league, which I'm not sure it will because we've had some trouble with basically loans getting pulled on the people buying our house and stuff like that. But moral of the story is I'm not sure how much time I'll have this league to play. And so to save time, I'm already planning on basically a second build on top of this build, which is what I would be transitioning to, is for one possibility is some sort of AutoBomber. This is James Humphrey. He made, I guess, an Inquisitor AutoBomber. I think it was last league, maybe it was the league before. But in case you've never seen AutoBombers in action, this is what they look like in like the Glory scenario where you have a super dense map and everything's just blowing up with Herald of Ice pops and stuff. Now this has been relatively kind of phased out to some extent just because of how popular the Explode Chest has been, and it hasn't been as relevant. But I'd still be tempted to revisit it and eventually transition this lightning-based Spell Inquisitor to some sort of an AutoBomber. Would be one of the things I'm thinking about doing, which I think could be really fun to mess around with. And the other thing is the Guardian I made last league, which was super tanky with Aegis Aurora. I'd also be tempted to make some sort of Giga tank and potentially improve upon this build I made here. This build was actually quite painful to set up just due to like the attribute requirements of leadership's price. I think I can get away without doing a leadership's price. I think there's some other things I can try that would work really well. Maybe even trying out some of the new uniques that are introduced if they are relatively attainable, if they're not super uncommon, super giga rare like Mage Blood. I'm hoping like things like the Crystallized Omniscience and the Melding of the Mind, I'm hoping those items are boss drops and thus they are farmable and realistically achievable to acquire, but who knows? We'll see. If they're strong items, there's a chance they're rare as well. So this is basically some of my fallbacks of, for a second build, I'll transition this Inquisitor into some sort of Giga Tank Guardian or some sort of AutoBomber Inquisitor, stuff like that. I like to keep as potential routes to take the Lightning Inquisitor that I have here. I'll include my rough POB of what I'm thinking about doing. I'm not sure I'm going to have Painted Tomb in it or not. Depends if I run Petrified Blood, stuff like that I haven't really decided on, but this would be roughly the tree I'd be going for if I was going for a lightning-based Inquisitor. And of course, before League starts, when we have patch notes and more stuff like that, I'll have a better idea of exactly what build I want to do. I'll probably decide on a skill and not be so much in the air about it, but as of right now, I'm pretty interested in doing this. Now, last time, before I made this video, I was actually thinking about doing a Hexblast Ignite character, and then the manifesto is like, Ignite's getting nerfed, also screw Hexblast. And so I decided to not think about that. And now, since I've made a video about this before the patch notes, this 100% should be perfectly fine and not get hurt by the patch notes, right? Anyways, that is my plans currently for the 317 launch. Hopefully you guys have some fun builds planned out for yourselves as well. And hopefully the league is good content and enjoyable to play. I'm sure it will be, given it's an expansion league. They usually are pretty stellar, but, you know, time will tell. Anyways, take care, Exiles. Have a good one.